out Justin Sun, the man from Tron. I had a feeling that was going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, here comes our panel. Big welcome for them, David Waxman. The floor is yours. Yeah. There you go. Rock your fan club. All right.
Pack it up, pack it in. Let me begin. I can't move it without me. That's a sin. I walk to the second.
Well, my illustrious panel up here are joining me to talk about the future. As we end day 2 of this extraordinary Token 2049 in Singapore, more than 10,000 people and all the energy in the world, we're going to be talking about the themes, we're going to be talking about the technology, we're going to be talking about the steps required to go and increase adoption of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology over the next 10 years. Joining me, as I said, is this illustrious panel, and I'm going to let each of them introduce themselves, starting with Fedor.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank our community to stay with us and to come here to visit. I know that it's not so easy to come from Vietnam. We have a very large Vietnamese community, and thank you very much to come here.
Excellent. Danny.
Danny, corner of Tronches. Just wanted to say that very happy to be here. Tronches is a structured liquid staking and an asset tracking protocol. I got the chance to come and take a look at us.
Thank you so much, Mohammed.
I'm Mohammed, I'm an artificial intelligence engineer, and I am a co-founder of Islamic Coin and Hack Network.
Excellent. And Justin, I haven't heard of you. What do you do nowadays?
Yes, I'm focused on blockchain development, stablecoin, and also exchange business. We just rebrand Hobby into HTX yesterday.
Indeed, we definitely want to talk about that. And I'm David Waxman, founder and CEO of Waxman, the largest communication and strategy firm in the industry. But let's talk about goals first. What do we want to achieve 10 years from now that we haven't yet? Danny, I'm looking at you first. Tell me, what have we not achieved in blockchain that 10 years from now we will have?
Well, it's a very big question. I guess first of all, let's not forget the ethos of blockchain. We want to be decentralized, and who do we actually want to become? There's a lot of people who might not have access to the financial system directly. They are unbanked. And I think blockchain in 10 years' time definitely will be able to help a lot of these people gain access to some form of financial system. We have also on the other end where there is already the well-banked. And they have been served pretty well by the banking system, but is it at the most efficient? Can things be better? I think that's the kind of question that DeFi is actually here to address. Blockchain definitely can help improve the process from T+2 to T+0, maybe even T+ just 1 second, 2 seconds, maybe. But in the whole big picture, we will finally have the unbanked with the well-banked coming together to form a better, bigger financial circle where everybody has a chance.
So you think there's going to be a more inclusive financial system 10 years from now, courtesy of blockchain, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, but let's talk about things just for a moment beyond that. I want to hear your predictions for 10 years from now. Justin, 10 years from now, outside of finance, what can blockchain help transform?
Yes, I believe in the next 10 years, the most big use case for crypto and blockchain for daily usage is still stablecoin payment transaction. So recently we have seen the stablecoin Tron has surpassed $13 billion. Currently, the total stablecoin is around $50 billion, and we are transact over $12 billion every day. So I think in the next 10 years, probably we're gonna have 100x volume than what we have now. So that's why I believe eventually most of the people will get on the stablecoin and the blockchain even without getting to know that.
So you think that they're going to be using blockchain as a rail for general payments, even if it's invisible?
Exactly. So it's a rail for payment, rail for global settlement, but without even get notice.
Islamic coin, which is built on Hawk, I understand is your layer 1, and we want to explore that a little bit, is about more than finance, isn't it?
Yes. Exactly. So we look at it from different point of view. Always Islamic finance, and I would love to focus on this point. It's not exclusive for Muslims; it's for everybody, and it puts the community first. So first point I see is happening in the coming 10 years that everything or most of the finance will be governed by the community, and this is a very important point. And there will be more balance and more transparency. So this will reflect highly on, we talk about 3.69 trillion is the market cap of the Islamic finance. We talk about the halal products, $4 trillion. We talk
Sorry, hold on. We need to define terms here. When you say there's $3.69 trillion in Islamic finance, what is Islamic finance for those of us in the crowd who maybe aren't familiar?
Okay, thank you very much. Well, Islamic finance, it puts the community first. So for example, in Islamic finance, when we do loans, we don't charge interest. So this is first. And on the other side, it doesn't allow any project that reflects negatively on.
Hold on, even before that, Islamic finance is essentially a, concurrent financial system that is only used or principally used between people who are Islamic. Is that correct? And it adheres to certain rules?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So we say this is the best tool that ever we've seen in the technology to serve this huge financial market cap, a huge community of 1.9 billion is the blockchain and crypto and Web3. That's why we are designing these whole smart contracts to facilitate these loans. We believe in a very short time, we talk about 10 years, right? In less than 10 years, majority of this market will be moved to a decentralization and will be on the blockchain.
That's interesting. So we might see a $3+ trillion market. This is one that most of us weren't talking about a year or two ago that could go online and purely digital. Today, some of this stuff is traded literally hand to hand. My understanding is much of Islamic finance, or at least a good portion, is peer-to-peer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I will refer also to Danny's point when he mentioned about the unbanked people. We talk about 51% of the Muslim community and also maybe non-Muslim community, they're unbanked.
Yeah.
And decentralization, blockchain, all the financial solution provided today is the best for them to go there with full transparency, and it's the less cost. It actually has a purpose to serve the community.
Well, let's talk a little more about this. So, we're talking about the developing world, we're talking about the unbanked, people who simply are without. Fedor, can you tell us a little bit about this? This is something you have a lot of experience in. It's helping make a more inclusive financial system. You've been working on this for many years.
Well, my vision and my target is to provide decentralized solutions. First of all, DeFi is number one, is our target, is our future. Well, I need not have any border, not have any pressure from the governments, and to provide a free product available any place, anytime, anywhere. It's very important to us. Yes, we have an experience with government products like El Petro in Venezuela, but it was CBDC, it was centralized technology. But our target is to decentralize it, to give the opportunity to the citizen, to our user, to our merchant industry, to pay, to accept cryptocurrencies based on decentralized model.
Well, let's talk about decentralized. Yeah, this is centralized as it's almost a religion, decentralization. And I want to make sure that we parse this to this audience because we should take a sober view of something that we talk about all the time. Justin, how important is decentralization, or is this simply a buzzword that gets repeated too much?
Yes, I believe decentralization is one of the top priority for develop blockchain because decentralization is about reach consensus globally. We need like everyone's participation. We need a permissionless network. We need everyone running the blockchain nodes just like Bitcoin is doing, which can come up with a global consensus, right? Everybody can trust the transaction. It's 100% on chain. Like everybody can check the history. This is extremely important for other people if they want to adopt this standard, right? For example, like how can people in Korea trust a network if all the nodes is running in Japan?
No, it's a fair problem. And to be blunt, we're seeing a lot of centralization of nodes. We're seeing this coming, and including in DPoS systems. We've seen some sincere geographic risks and other types of counterparty risks, and certainly centralization risks.
Yes, that's something I think every layer one developers and the founders needs to mitigate, right? Recently, we even see like Ethereum has 33% of the is like holding by idle, like one staker, right? So I think decentralization is kind of like a dynamic, right? So we always need to find a way to make sure it's decentralized in region and entity.
Well, this is a complicated problem to solve, us because, to be clear, sometimes monopolies form simply because of market pressures. There's a reason to go with one thing. But Andy, you and I were talking backstage about this, about kind of some of the forces that cause centralization, and maybe some of the ways that we can help decentralize this. So, what do you think? How can we help ensure proper decentralization?
I think it's a growing process and evolution for decentralization to take place. But at some point, when protocols are doing well, they will become centralized. If they are good, like the biggest staking like they will actually be kind of like being followed by other people. And it becomes centralized. But is that the end of decentralization? No, because there will be competitors that are setting up like ourselves, like other protocols, who try to also do better. I think with that coming in place, the decentralization will then happen again. So sometimes you need to go decentralize because they are doing well, let them continue doing it. Other people will mimic, other people do better, decentralization will take place. Also another note, I think centralization sometimes has to come in to help get attention, educate, and also direct things. You need someone to start it.
Well, initially, okay, so maybe we need to jumpstart again. But I want to take a longer perspective here. We have 10 years we're talking about now to try and achieve a goal. And if one of the goals that we can all agree on the stage on is to have more decentralization 10 years from now, I'd like to know kind of what steps we need to take. Mohammed, maybe you can tell us what steps we need to take to ensure a more decentralized financial system. And I think more than that, I want to make sure we cover other use cases other than finance on the stage today. But how can we have more decentralization?
Well, from my point of view, the whole business today, centralized or decentralized, is still in need for more ethics and values. That's what we see. But in decentralization way, what we do, we have two levels to make sure it is mature and it is going with the ethics and values. So level number one, when you are on our blockchain, and it's a decentralized blockchain, you're welcome, but you have to, it's choice, optional. But if you want to community trust, you go through Sharia Oracle. This Oracle will go to stage. Stage number one, community will vote if they like your project or not. Stage number two is the Sharia board, where they will check the ethical part and the value part of the project. Does it go on a positive way of the community or not? So this is a layer that's there and it is decentralized on the blockchain. It gives more step to stabilize this. But let me just add one small point. Today, what I see in the whole business, the risk, we talk a lot about risk in decentralization, but today, I think there are a lot of risks also in decentralization. So, which one to choose better? I think decentralization moving into better, much better.
You know, another major risk, and I think it's important that we know where we stand before we prepare our work to go, is trust. I think that in the last year, I think most of you would agree, our industry has lost a lot of the trust that was gained over about a decade and a half since Bitcoin was founded. How can we build back some of that trust? Dustin?
Yes. So I have a few secret recipes for trust.
A secret recipe?
Yeah, sure. First is transparency. I think it's very important. When Satoshi first founded Bitcoin, I think all the block is transparent on the blockchain. You can check. And nowadays, after the fallout of FTX, I think everybody realized the importance of transparency. So right now, every major blockchain and exchange in the world all have Mercury tests using zero knowledge proof reports. Huobi, HTX also collaborate with lots of third parties like Nansen, DeFi Llama to generate transparency reports. So everyone can know their assets is on the blockchain. It's not going anywhere, right? It's just there. So I think transparency is very important for blockchains the same. And also, I think it's global consensus. So we need everybody's agree on the same agenda topic. So before, I think lots of people is come on probably like US regulation, Bitcoin getting on ETF, Ethereum getting on ETF.
These are the topics we're talking about now.
Yes, exactly. But right now, since we have seen US regulation become very uncertain, right? So we have seen like Korea, like Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, right, become like very promising. So that's why I think eventually we need like everybody on board to drive the Bitcoin price to a new level, right?
Well, even before we drive prices to new levels, I think that there's simply just trust in the ecosystem we need to get.
Yeah, I think in order to build trust, maybe something fundamental to build is a trust system, right? So we know that there's credit rating agencies around and there's so-called traditional finance. Maybe that's something that we can embark on trying to build better. Something, a code rating, a credit rating, maybe even the tokens, maybe the size of it, it can become a formula. I mean, it's not a known kind of methodology now, but maybe it's something that we can invest time in building. And second of all, like trust also comes with a safety net. Maybe insurance kind of a protocol or more protection within the blockchain space can be better. We have some form of insurance coverage now, but the coverage percentage is very little. So if you want to encourage trust, you want to encourage more people to come in, insurance is actually quite a very important factor.
Very interesting. It's one of these primitives that needs to be further built out.
Yeah.
What else is our ecosystem missing? We've got stable coins, we've got a faster financial system. Why haven't we built something like, let me ask you this, Fedor, on-chain voting, why hasn't that taken off yet?
Well, I'm sure that first of all, we must be legalized. It's number one, because we have to work secure. We have to work with transparency in any country, in the region. It's very important to us to have a law for the tokens issuance, for the tokens circulations, and etc. etc. It's very important. The second one is on infrastructure, as I told before, ecosystem. We have to make integrations between blockchains, between other chains. We have to do it easy and with transparency. For example, we are implementing Ledger Zero technology now for DeFi, DAO, or cross-finance. It's the same one, crossfi. Well, so that technical question is very important also. And easy product, this is one. Available to the street, available through commerce, available to the internet, virtually, metaverse, any kind.
I want to understand, Justin, how we can make, back to something you were saying earlier, blockchain even a more transparent technology. I've long said that, and I said this 5 years ago and I was wrong, that eventually, 5 years from now, people will be using blockchain without knowing it. Are they doing that today? And why will they be doing that in the future outside of stablecoin use?
Yes. So first of all, I believe blockchain actually is an infrastructure, right? So actually lots of people can build dApps and DeFi application and even usage based on the blockchain. Right? Recently we have seen like Friendtag, these kind of the social media app, even based on the blockchain. But right now I think there is still lots of the technical know-how. You need to get to know blockchain before using it. For example, you need to have secret key. Basically, you need to understand like how to control the money. And if you are not tech-savvy person, probably lose the secret key. You might lose the assets in the key.
I've done that before.
Yes. So I think this is also very dangerous. So for common users, probably in the future, I think we need custodial wallet, right? Which is completely based on YubiKey, and those technologies help you to guarantee the safety of the assets. But at the same time, you can just enjoy the crypto just like using credit cards, using iPhone, embedded with Web2 technology, which provide the perfect experience for everyone to enjoy.
I want to circle back to social networking in just a minute, but let's talk about security, Mohammed. You actually come from artificial intelligence, your background in cybersecurity. How can we make a more secure Web3 financial system?
Well, technology is one part when it comes to security, but there is another part also, which is the awareness. I mean, most of the hacking, or let's say the security gaps that happen today, It is not only technology problem. There is a lot of lack of awareness from the users. People, they want to get money, they want to invest, and they don't want to read. They don't want to go through the details and understand them more. And then when they're facing problems, they come and say, oh, it's not secure, or they go blame the regulatory that it is not existing there. But it is actually, when we talk about security, it's a collaboration between tech developers, between the technology provider, between the community, between the people who spread the awareness. So this all merge together to provide a secure platform. And we are just in hurry, I think, today when we look at the Web3. Web3 is getting into mature level. We should not be fast to over-expect things. We go back in the history when online banking started, when online payments started, when all these revolutionary solutions happened in the past. It took really good time until it is reaching to mature level. Today, we just need to give more time. A lot of technology now being developed in terms of security and monitoring using the AI. Today, exchanges using artificial intelligence to monitor the wallets and check the bad behavior and check the money flow. So it's going into mature level. Just need some patience, more awareness, more collaboration.
Andy, I want to talk a little bit about another huge problem that we have that's hopefully is solved 10 years from now, and that's UI, user interface. Blockchain is terribly challenging to use today. As Justin was mentioning, it's hard to set up a wallet. It's very easy to lose your keys. For millions, if we want to have billions of people making use of this tech, I think we need to solve this problem. How are we going to do it?
So you want to tackle the UI UX situation?
Yes, I do.
Well, I think first of all, right, we have seen an evolution of how protocols have really changed from very initial days to now. And I do think that a lot of the protocols, they also are getting ready, not just for the native crypto community, they are also getting ready for mainstream, for accredited investors, for institutions alike to come in and use. So everybody have that in mind. I see rebrandings, I see even like the revamping of protocols, maybe even exchanges to be a bit more friendly. I think exchanges will be the closest there is to kind of the real world, and they are already doing a good job. So maybe the rest of the crypto world are also following suit to actually improve themselves and get in line. Now, in terms of also the UI UX, if I want to say how you can improve, someone was just speaking to me the other day saying that, like, how can I actually go on and set up a wallet? They have no idea. So lots of education and all this have to come in. But is it possible for known Web2 setups, Google, Apple Pay, whatever, to be able to do at the back of it a simple transition for you to be able to enter into Web3? They provide a wallet. At the end, you come in, log in with your details. Well, it's so-called centralized. But it does allow you a first foray into setting up the wallet and into the chain. As they get to know things better, they start to uncover the world of DeFi protocols and so on. They can then, by themselves, set up their own wallet and go in. But that's the first step to everything. Maybe that UI UX integration can come in and help to move things a bit faster.
I mean, look, UI is critically important, and I told you, sort of back to social networks. Way back in 2016, I was part of the team that helped launch CMIT, which I think you might know a thing or two about it. And it was a great concept. Here was the idea, for those of you who don't know. What if there was something like Reddit, except instead of getting pointless karma, you might actually get paid something, compensated for the work that you were doing to improve the social network. It seemed fair, it seemed egalitarian, but of course there seems to be some tokenomics issues over time. The value of those things dropped over time. But it seems like something that you sincerely believe in as well. Why have Tron, why have you invested so much in Web3 powered social networks, and how do we solve the UI problem that has made it, well, so difficult for regular people to make use of them?
Yes. So first of all, I believe decentralization is not only tax structure, right? So it's like multiple validator, like globally validates the blocks, but also it's a philosophy, right, behind all the products. Today we are seeing like Facebook, Instagram, all the very big giant companies control users' data, control social network. So everybody, data actually belongs to a very big company, and monetize on those data as well.
Yeah, you basically, whether you know it or not, you say yes, and you agree to them owning all your stuff.
Yes, exactly. So that's why I think blockchain as a theory, right? has provided a way for even all the Web2 application to change the status quo, to become like one of the decentralized structure. For every developers in the world, they can build something, actually give the data and give the privacy back to the users. That's also basically why the Steam is launched in the first place, right? So right now, I think there is still lots of the infrastructure support we need to build before we achieve this very ambitious goal. First is payment, right? People need to make payments based on those applications, and also, of course, is key, right? How do you control the data?
Management.
Exactly, and when people lose their key, how do you recover it? And we see some other application like WorldCoin, try to identify people's identity by eyeballs. So we see lots of solutions here. And also, I think we need to have a very good capability of the blockchain itself, because it's gonna means you need to process tens of millions of the transactions every day.
This is core infrastructure, and
Yes.
I think you're right. We need to have that too.
Yeah.
But Justin, you've made investments in social network companies,
Yeah.
and I would say the front end matters just as much as the back end.
Yes.
If we want people to actually use this tech, it doesn't have to just work on the back end. People have to want to use it.
Yes.
Mohammed, let me ask you something. Do you believe in Web3 gaming as a conduit to get millions of people online? Or do you think that it's going to be mostly from the finance side that we're going to get people using blockchain tech?
Well, I believe, of course, in Web3 gaming, and I think the most successful model from my point of view, that anyone will build something in the Web3, or let's say talk about metaverse, it will need to be hybrid with augmented reality, because not everybody today can go to metaverse or use it. I mean, for user adoption, you need to take them step by step. So when you do two versions or two options like metaverse, and there's augmented reality, they can just use their mobile and then start with it, they move step by step. We need to take them to that level, and that's also have a connection with your previous smart question, the UX UI. Today, we want the people to use all the application in Web3 or in crypto without they feel they are in the crypto world. Like simple people, I don't need to explain them what's cryptocurrency or what's blockchain. If you want to attract the non-crypto-native people, we should just have an application very easy. That's why when we designed the wallet, we would just send, receive, stick. That's it. Then, with the time, we take them to next steps. So that's my point.
Danny, I want to talk a little bit about finance again. And taking the long view, 10 years out, I presume, I hope, that we're not going to see interest rates rising all the time for the next 10 years. That we might actually see some sort of abatement there, and perhaps get another macro bull run, some sort of growth environment for the world over the next 10 years. If that's true, are we going to see the rise of DeFi once again? Is that the driver?
Well, the way we should be looking at it is crypto is an asset class that follows a risk-on environment, just like equities and so on. Now that we are at a tail end of a rate hike, I think there's a good chance for the market to be doing very well. And if rate hike is something of the past and we have a lowering interest rate, I think people will start to be interested in looking at more investments, both into traditional type and into Web3. The future is great. In fact, like a lot of people have been holding back some of resources, investments, because they feel that, oh, I'm getting a better leverage, just putting inside bonds. Why am I doing other stuff, right? But now with everything coming down, I think there's a huge runway for many things to come up. I think, like the previous stuff that we talked about, AI, metaverse, all the different interesting protocols, it's all going to move positive, and that's how I see it.
One more question for you. We've talked a little bit about kind of the underlying collateral that DeFi is based on, and mostly it's been on-chain assets, sometimes volatile ones like Ether, right? That's kind of how Maker would operate. But we're seeing an increasing interest in what's called real-world assets, or RWA. Do you think that in the next 10 years this is actually going to take off, or is it still going to be something we're talking about on stage then?
You mean stablecoin and other currency?
You call stablecoins the first instance of RWA, is that correct?
Yeah.
But what's next after that?
For me, stablecoin, it took place with USD because it is the most common and most adopted kind of like a base currency to have. But if we look at it today, what are the big currencies out there? There's Euro, there's Yen. if what we are looking at as certainty, there's a lot of leverage borrowing taking place, and for borrowing and lending to take place, what do you need? You need to have low interest rate. Something that's very interesting is that yen is always taking place like a very low interest, almost nothing. So that could be kind of like a surge in a stablecoin presence that people start to use it as the big currency, and it could grow to another ecosystem that is maybe paralleling, like what we see in stablecoin in USD now. And the thing is, with Euro and all this, I think payment and services is something that can push and promote kind of across the native different FX pairs. So as this happened along the way, as Euro start to gain strength, regulations start to also come out and say that maybe you should use Euro because the MiCA says that it will be best to be practicing that. You will start to see all this coming up in tandem. USD will not be the only stablecoin presence in our environment.
Beyond simply plethora of, let's call it, currencies or real-world assets growing, one of the trends we've seen over the last few years, and a few people here can talk about this, but is the rise of multiple different blockchains. We've talked about a multi-blockchain world as much as we've talked about on a macro scale, a multipolar world. Fedor, let me ask you a question. 10 years from now, are we going to see a consolidation, or are we going to see even more smart contract platforms than we see today?
Well, it depends. It depends. Well, if we are talking, it depends we are talking about. For example, if we are talking about business digitalization, it's one matter. If we are talking the retail, in the second one, I mean B2B, C2C, B2C deals and transactions. Well, and smart contract, well, currently we use smart contract anywhere, anytime. For example, I prefer to hold my money in my pocket. That's why I use my own wallet connected to blockchain, MasterCard, and Visa, for example. We are talking about the future, right? We are talking about what we like to see in 10 years. Well, from time to time, the future is today. For example, now you can connect your MasterCard, your Visa card, your code wallet. It's a progress, I mean, for us, and with the influence of MasterCard and Visa, because they have a pressure on the market, right? Well, but we already have it. One step done. Well, the second step is to migrate mentality of these systems. To migrate mentality of the national payment system, national banks, for MasterCard, Visa, it's very important for us.
I want to talk a little more about interoperability. I know it's something that Tron cares quite a lot about. But before I do want to ask a little bit about your t-shirt, Justin.
Yes.
Is it okay if we talk a little bit about it?
Sure.
So my understanding is was it yesterday?
Yes.
You announced that there's a new brand for the Huobi Tron family of companies. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why HTX? Because to be fair, and I'm sure the audience is asking about this, it's only a few letters away from FTX.
Yes.
So why HTX?
Yeah, so there's only 3 letters. I don't have much choice, right? So H is stand for Huobi, so our brand for decade. But today we are upgrade to HTX. And the T stands for Tron, because this is one of the Tron partners. And also X, of course, stands for the exchange business itself. It stands for a very innovative brand like X.com and launched by Elon Musk. And also X is also stands for 10, right? So I believe HTX is also fitting the 3 letters culture we have in the crypto industry, like BTC, ETH, and also one of the our collaborate exchange, OKX. Right? So I think that's like why we have this HTX brand.
Okay, so the HTX brand is going to stay. Is that correct?
Yes, stay. We're gonna use it forever.
There we go, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about kind of interoperability. Which you have Tron, there's a few different tokens in the ecosystem. There's BTT, right? You've got both Poloniex, and you also have Huobi. It's a confluence of different firms. So in the spirit of interoperability, how are all these different organizations working together?
Yes, I'm a big fan for multi-chain. I believe eventually different use case will adopt different blockchain, right? Even for Ethereum itself, we see like later we have OP, we have Arbitrum, we have Polygon, right? So I think different blockchain designed for different usage. So eventually there are gonna be lots of blockchain and lots of exchange to serve people's different usage of the blockchain. So that's why we also invest a lot in different exchange business, layer one.
You are pushing for competition. You are investing in competition.
Exactly, yes. Because competition brings perfection, right? So that's why we invest into layer ones, layer twos, exchange business, stablecoin business, and to integrate them together, but in different use case, right? To generate the real use case and the infrastructure building for the industry. And also, by the way, we will build and continue to build our exchange. Hopefully for the next 2 years, when you people ask like some TX, you will, first reaction will be HTX.
Okay, so hopefully you will have washed away FTX, and we'll just be thinking HTX with a smile.
Exactly.
Well, we'll check on this 2 years from now, Justin. We'll come back on this stage. I want to keep talking about interoperability a little bit. So my understanding is that you've built some of HAK, which is the layer one protocol upon which Islamic coin is based, but with Cosmos Hub. What made you choose that technology, and to what extent is interoperability important for you?
Okay, interesting question. Well, first of all, I always say like, we don't want the community wake up every day to have like more chains, more coins, more chains, more coins. Every chain and coin also support multiple chains, but every chain should have its unique value proposition. Why I did this chain? Why we built HAK? Why we built Islamic coin? If we don't have unique value proposition, we don't need to be there. So, first of all, to answer directly the question, why we use these technologies to make it easy for the people. Now today, a lot of projects, we have Sharia finance or Islamic finance, that projects need to be compliant with the Sharia finance. But when you put this project in a blockchain that has also conflict, like charging interest, gambling, casino, all projects that conflict with Sharia principles.
So gambling projects shouldn't be building on HAK and Islam.
Now I'm saying when you have all bad, let's say, or negatively reflected projects on the community in one blockchain, and you come and put good projects also that is not healthy environment. That's why we created HAK for the projects that goes with the ethics and values. It's ethics first blockchain, and for the projects that comply with the Sharia rule, it can be there, and it has its own Sharia board that's sitting with more than 50 banks Sharia board in the world. So people, when they put their projects there, they know it goes with their Islamic ethics and values. They don't have a doubt, they don't have things. We have a principle when we talk about user experience that we were discussing. Don't let the user think. Don't let me think as a user. Just give me the straightforward way, and that's what we have them. They don't have to think. They have the very distinct Sharia board. Come, put your projects. It goes with your ethics and values. Do the transactions, and there is an important part there to serve the community, which is the philanthropy part. We have 10% of every minted coin goes to Evergreen now, that gives grants to the community projects and contributes to their charities. So there is more than one value.
Well, one of the benefits there, forgive me, I just want to make sure we point this out, is that theoretically, if you're donating, you could be donating to new wallets, and we can get even more people on chain.
Yes, this is very interesting part, because there is two types of donation when it comes to Islamic financial school. There is optional and there is a must, which is called zakat. It's 2.5% of anything, any resource you have that you're not using for more than 12 months. You need to give a must, 2% to the poor people, but what mechanism it happen?
Yeah.
In reality, you get Excel sheet that, oh, this got distributed to those people, we cannot verify. In blockchain and crypto, you can track everything through wallets and digital identity.
So Mohammed, we have just one more minute left. So I wanted to ask Danny, what are your predictions? 10 years from now, what's Bitcoin price going to be?
Well, we're going to predict where Bitcoin price is going to be.
Bitcoin price 10 years from now.
Wow, that's a difficult one.
Throw a number out there.
Okay, everybody throw a number. 300,000?
Okay, Fedor, what do you think? 10 years from now, what's Bitcoin price going to be?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
10 years from now, what's the price of Bitcoin?
What?
Price of Bitcoin.
Price of Bitcoin? Well, $1 million.
$1 million. Yes. Okay, here we go. think? 10 years from now, price of Bitcoin?
Yes, I would agree with this. Bitcoin is the king of all the coins, and I think it will keep just appreciating.
Okay. Justin? Justin Sun's answer for what's the price of Bitcoin in 10 years is?
$1 million.
$1 million. Well, gentlemen, thank you for this wonderful panel. I hope in 10 years from now we're celebrating a heck of a lot more than we already are today. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
David Waxman, great job. Fedor, I'm going to ask you to hold on to that. There you go. Okay. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are looking into the future of crypto, and we're going to be looking at it with the guys who have the money. So if you're trying to get a project funded, you want to see what is attracting the funds, the investment, this is the panel to